Introduction. The topic of the factors influencing the effectiveness of teaching has long attracted the attention of English as a foreign language researchers. The effectiveness of teacher is not limited to teacher characteristic or merely abiding by a particular set of criteria. It is also about employing teaching practices that are valued by and contribute to the wider community in which the teaching takes place. The concept of a good teacher has been explored from a number of perspectives over the course of decades, yet most of these investigations have been conducted in Western contexts and have tended to explore teachers across disciplines. Despite this tendency toward Eurostandardness, a few studies have nonetheless been conducted in non-Western contexts, including in Middle Eastern nations such as the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, and Iran. In terms of EFL literature presents a number of important findings regarding the characteristics specifically related to effective English language teaching. The need to identify these characteristics stems from a commonly held perspective that awareness of them can help teachers identify their students' needs and expectations and hence work on meeting them. Knowing these characteristics can help teachers improve their pedagogical practices by allowing them to enhance their good characteristics or those that are most valued by their student, and find ways to overcome those that are less valued or considered inappropriate for a specific teaching context. Good teachers, including teachers of EFL or English as a second language (ECL), share many similar characteristics regardless of their subject area. However, although a number of studies suggest a considerable level of overlap, there are still some important differences between effective English language instructors and teachers of other subjects. The presence of these differences, whether large or small, makes it crucial to further investigate the qualities that may either enhance or impede the success of the English language learner. Literature review. Good teacher characteristics, definitions, and categories. Given that the quality of teaching may be difficult to determine and that its perceptions is most likely influenced by both teachers and students' values, the question of what makes a good teacher is one that has been approached from a number of angles. Teaching characteristics have therefore been approached differently by various researchers and educators in the field. For some, good teacher qualities are represented in the common of the subject area, appropriate teaching methods, and different teaching-related skills, whereas others highlight personal characteristics including charisma. The teachers possess their compassion, humor, innovating, and honesty. According to Brosh, effective EFL teachers are those who focus on comprehensions are in common of the language, prepare interesting lessons, help students to be independent, and deal with students fairly. Reacher, 2003, divided these characteristics into three main categories: instructional competence, personality, and teacher-student relationship. According to the author, instructional competence, including the teacher's ability to create student-centered classrooms, provide sufficient content knowledge, and maintain a professional demeanor, is the most highlight value of the three categories by learners. The teacher's personality, on the other hand, relates to the individual traits that the instructor brings to the classrooms and can be conceived of as including their levels of patience and understanding the work they display, their willingness to get to know their learners, and so on. It is personality that is often offered as an important determinant of the teacher-student relationship, the third category here, and may be especially important in those societies where interpersonal relationship in the classroom and considered more important than the nature of instruction itself. Davis, 2001, contends that this relationship can directly contribute to students' learning and achievement outcomes. Factors influencing perceptions of good teacher characteristics. Perceptions of good teaching may be influenced by a variety of factors including culture, gender, subject area, school level, and the curriculum used.
Culture has been characterized by Fink-Beiner 2008 in a number of ways, including as an iceberg that is mostly invisible, as glue that brings individuals together, and as the mind software that incorporates people's various norms and ways of thinking. However, individuals cannot be simply defined within the limits of one particular culture, as people belong to various subgroups, including those based on religion, ethnicity, linguistic background, and so on. As stated above, cultural and contextual factors necessarily influence structures and students' perceptions about what and indeed who a good teacher is. A study exploring the nature of good teaching in the Turkish context revealed that some of the characteristics that seem to be of significance for Turkish students include having a command of the subject thought and the instructor's tolerance for learning problems. Furthermore, a large-scale study of China's EFL teachers working in mainland China emphasized the ways in which the integration of computer skills into teaching seems to help generate positive attitudes toward teachers due to the popularity of information technology (IT) in that country. According to Savin 2005, Emirate learners tend to favor skills related to both the humanistic side of the teacher and their classroom practice. That is, they view effective EFL teachers as being able to employ a variety of teaching methods, attempting to help students to understand what is taught, having the ability to create enjoyable classes, producing valid tests, providing worksheets and handouts, giving opportunities for students to practice their speaking skills, and maintaining efficient classroom management. There are characteristics that, given the large degree of overlap between the cultures of the Arab Gulf, could also be argued to be valued by Omani learners. The learner's gender may also be another important factor that influences the characteristic they value in a teacher. For example, Chen and Lin's 2009 investigation of 198 junior high school students of English in Taiwan revealed differences between male and female students' perception of effective EFL teaching. In particular, female students tended to value the teacher's personality, the nature of teacher-student relations, the way in which teachers motivate learners, and how aware they are of the cultures associated with English-speaking countries. On the other hand, male students tended to consider traits like respecting students and being ethical as more important. Method: research questions. The following research questions were explored. Research question 1. What are the characteristics of a good EFL teacher according to Omani high school students? Research question 2. What are the characteristics of a good EFL teacher according to Omani EFL teachers? Research question 3. Are there differences and similarities in students and teachers' perceptions of the characteristics of good EFL teachers? Sample: the study, conducted in academic year 2011 to 2013, covered Omani EFL teachers and students within Oman, 233 EFL teachers and 171 Omani students from grades 9 to 11 took part. Students were initially contacted by 3 supervisors who served as research assistants and whose responsibility was to collect data from classes of English teachers they did not supervise. The questionnaires were in Arabic and were distributed in class. Prior to questionnaire distribution, our supervisors explained the purpose of the study in Arabic and later read a message in Arabic to emphasize the anonymity and confidentiality of student responses. Of the 171 student participants, 127 were female, 74.3%, while only 34 males, 25.7% took part. 22 participants, 11.9%, were currently studying in grade 9, with 76 in year 10, 34.4%, 49 in grade 11, 28.7%, and 21, 11.3% in grade 11, while 3 participants did not indicate their grade. The vast majority in participants is number of participants is 100.51, 88.3%, state that they had never been enrolled in a private school, with the remaining 20 students, 11.7%, having at some point attended a non-government school. The teacher sample consists of 230 teachers of English across various regions of Oman. These participants were required through a snowball sampling method, with a handful of teachers contacted and informed about the nature of the research and asked following reminders of anonymity, confidentiality, and the right to withdraw at any stage. If they would like to participate, a handful of supervisors also volunteered to email the online questionnaire link to teachers whom they supervise, along with participants' information sheet and a request to take part in the study. Like the student sample, the majority of teacher participants were female. Number of participants is 155, 66.5%, with only around one-third being male. Number of participants is 78, 33.5%, while most of the teacher participants were currently working in the Batina South Governorate. Number of participants is 136, 62.7%. Participants were also drawn from the Governorate Muscat. Number of participants is 18, 7.7%. Musandam. Number of participants 77.33%. Lutfiah, number of participants is 13.6%. Dahira, number of participants is 13.5.6%. Batina North, number of participants is 8.3.4%. Charkian South, number of participants is 5.2.1%. Dhofar, number of participants is 3.1.3%. And Sharkia North, number of participants is 10.45%. A further 2.6% identified themselves as being from the Predivision Administrative Region of Batina, and 2 participants, 0.9%, did not indicate their governorate. Nearly all participants were teachers in Omani government schools. Number of participants is 223, 95.7%. Although 44.3% taught English in Omani universities or college, and almost all claim to teach across multiple grades. questionnaire. The research instrument employed in the current study was designed to investigate Omani EFL teachers and student perceptions of the importance of a number of teacher characteristics. Teacher characteristics in the questionnaire groups into 7 categories. There are content, knowledge about teaching and learning, pedagogical knowledge about learning or teaching, knowledge about oneself general characteristic, knowledge about oneself affective variables, knowledge about oneself professional development, knowledge about student, and knowledge about classroom management. The instrument is a modified version of a questionnaire used by Abu Rahma, 2007. Participants were asked to respond to 68 positively worded items, each introduced by the press. The language teacher should A. For point-like type response, K was used, with responses interpreted as follows: 1. Unimportant, 2. Somewhat important, 3. Important, 4. Very important. Questionnaire groups and individual items which means closer to therefore indicate characteristics that respondents believe to be important but their English language teachers, while it means closer to one suggests that these characteristics are not important. Cronbach alpha coefficients were calculated for each category.
Student result. Student questionnaire result. Table 1 reports student questionnaire means for the 7 categories. Each of the 7 categories receive a mean between 3.18 and 3.47. Thereby suggesting that students believe each category was important for their teacher. The 2 categories that received the highest means were knowledge about oneself general characteristic, the mean is 3.47, and knowledge about oneself affective variable, the mean is 3.44. Despite the relatively high level of student awareness, student participants ascribe to the areas of general characteristic and affective variable, and the category of knowledge about oneself professional development, the mean is 3.18 recorded the lowest mean. Knowledge about student, the mean is 3.37, received the third highest mean among the 7 categories, followed by 2 categories related to teacher knowledge about teaching and learning, pedagogical knowledge about the teaching and learning, the mean is 3.29, and the content knowledge about teaching and learning, the mean is 3.26. Closely related to this area, knowledge about classroom management received the second lowest mean of 3.25, so this is an area that student participants still believed to be important for their instructors. All the questionnaire categories are explored in more detail below.
Category with the highest overall mean was knowledge about oneself general characteristic with the mean 3.47. Of the 4 items related to this group, all received means above 3.0, which suggests that student participants believed this general characteristic to be important for these English teachers. 2 of these items related to the teacher's awareness of the importance of actual teaching practice speak audibly and clearly. The mean is 3.65 and write clearly and legibly. The mean is 3.41, with the former recording the highest mean of all items on the student questionnaire. The remaining 2 items are associated with teacher preparation. These are be prepared for class, the mean is 3.49, and come to class on time, the mean is 3.33. 15 items were associated with the questionnaire category, knowledge about oneself affective variables. The mean is 3.44, with each item again receiving a mean above 3.0. this indicating that student participants believe them to all be important for their teachers. Of these items, the three that recorded the highest mean were all related to warmth toward and equal treatment of students. These were treat students fairly, the mean is 3.61, care about all students, the mean is 3.59, and students treat students equally, the mean is 3.58. Closely related to this item, student participants also believed that it was important for teachers to be kind. The mean is 3.44, and always show care about student comprehension and progress. The mean is 3.42. All items related to the questionnaire category of knowledge about students, the mean is 3.37, received mean above 3.0, and were thus all believed to be important. This item that recorded the highest mean here was have good rapport with pupils. The mean is 3.51, which is a finding related to the importance of caring about learners. Other items from this category related to building rapport and having strong interpersonal relationship include have positive attitude towards pupils. The mean is 3.45 and establish a good relationship with students. The mean is 3.41. Of the 19 items related to the questionnaire category, pedagogical knowledge about technique, teaching and learning, the mean is 3.29. All were considered important by participants, although the only two received mean above 3.50. These were explained, listen clearly and confidently. The mean is 3.61 and be able to explain unfamiliar concept in various ways. The mean is 3.450. Both of these items are related to the clarify of explanations offered in the classroom. As is the item adjust English input the stomach learners proficiency levels. The mean is 3.45. Students also believed that it was important for their teacher to encourage learners' contribution. The mean is 3.50. The ability to use a variety of teaching methods, the mean is 3.30, was also considered important by student participants. Items related to the ability to employ a variety of pedagogical approaches include the use different techniques for presenting language. The mean is 3.41. Vary teaching method to suit different learning style. The mean is 3.40. Vary class interaction strategies. Example, use group and pair role, drama, role play, or debate. The mean is 3.30. Motivate learners using different instructional strategies. The mean is 3.23. And be able to present language using different techniques. The mean is 3.21. 9 items were associated with the questionnaire category content knowledge about teaching and learning. The mean is 3.26. The 2 items that received the highest mean for this category were both related to instruction English language proficiency, that is, have a high level of English. The mean is 3.63, and be able to communicate well in English. The mean is 3.56. In addition to the ability to be able to communicate well in the English language, student participants also believe that the instructors should be able to plan a appropriate lesson. The mean is 3.36 and know how to set objectives. The mean is 3.19, while the ability to set and implement objectives in closely linked to a teacher's knowledge of how to evaluate pupils. The mean is 3.46. Interestingly, students also maintained that their instructors should also be able to contribute to curriculum development. The mean is 3.27, even though they didn't believe that it was important for their teacher to be able to solve participle problem through conducting action research. The mean is 3.11. The questionnaire category, knowledge about oneself, professional development, the mean is 3.18, recorded the lowest overall mean for all 7 categories, although all but one of the 8 items featured in this category received a mean above 3.0. The item that received the highest mean was have a positive attitude toward change and innovation. The mean is 3.30, with this level of positivity perhaps expressed in caring about developing professionally. The mean is 3.25, and being ready to learn new method and teaching strategies. The mean is 3.24.
Teacher result. Teacher questionnaire result. Table 2 contains questionnaire category means for teacher participant. Again, like the student participant, all category means fell within a range that suggested teacher believed each of these categories of teacher characteristic to be important. See section comparison of student and teacher result. The questionnaire category that recorded the highest mean was like the result of student participant. Knowledge about oneself, general characteristic, the mean is 3.73, while the knowledge about classroom management, the mean is 3.70. And knowledge about oneself affective variable, the mean is 3.69, received the next highest means, although the knowledge about oneself, professional development, recorded the lowest category mean for the student participant. Here it's received a mean of 3.55, which places it is the second lowest category with content knowledge about teaching and learning, and the mean is 3.48, receiving the lowest teacher means overall, even though it was still considered to be important. The remaining 2 questionnaire categories were knowledge about student, the mean is 3.60, and the pedagogical knowledge about teaching and learning, the mean is 3.56. Each questionnaire category is explored in more detail below.
Teacher participants believed that the most important general characteristic was to be prepared for class. The mean is 3.80. While they also considered it important to come to class on time, the mean is 3.67. Like the student participants, teacher also valued classroom practice such as the ability to speak audibly and clearly. The mean is 3.80, and to write clearly and legibly, the mean is 3.65. Thus reiteration the importance of teaching practice and preparation for English teachers in Oman. The questionnaire category that was considered the next most important by teacher participant was knowledge about classroom management. The mean is 3.70. Like the student participant who maintained that both items from this category was important. Teachers also supported the importance of classroom management by stating the teaching should be able to manage the classroom properly. The mean is 3.72, and have effectiveness classroom management skill. The mean is 3.67. Again, both student and teacher participant believed all items related to this category to represent important characteristics of English teachers. However, while teacher maintained the most important effectiveness variable was to be confident and have self-control, the mean is 3.77. The student placed this item within the 5 last important variables. Despite this small disparity, both teacher and student agreed that treating students with warmth and respect was important, with teacher participant highlighting that instructor should treat students fairly. The mean is 3.77, and treat students equally. The mean is 3.73, while also caring About all students, the mean is 3.69.
Although like result for students, our item here again received mean about 3 to highlighting their importance to participant. In an interesting point of divergence, teacher participant consider having good reports with pupils to be the least important variable related to this category, even though student participant believe it was the most important. Despite this, teachers did agree that it was important to have positive attitudes toward pupils and to establish good relationship with students. Teacher participants stated that the most important quality related to knowledge about their learners was to be able to assess learners' strength and weakness, which is closely related to the ability to take into consideration student needs and interests, and understand learner personalities, needs, and learning styles. Finally, both student and teacher participants placed having the skill to develop autonomy in learners among the best important characteristics from this category, while also highlighting the importance of being able to raise student interest level in English lesson. Both teacher and student participant agreed that it is important for teacher to explain lesson clearly and confidently, which is related to the ability to adjust English input to match learners' proficiency level and to be able to explain unfamiliar concepts in various ways. The item from this category that received the second highest mean for teacher participant was use a variety of teaching methods. Teacher participants agree with students about the importance of implementing a variety of teaching techniques and strategies, with relatively high means for the following item: use different techniques for presenting language, be able to present language using different techniques, vary teaching methods to suit different learning styles, vary class interaction strategies such use group and pair work, drama, role play, or debate, and motivate learners using different instructional strategies. Despite this level of concordance, teacher participants believe that the ability to involve pupils in various activities was the most important qualities from this category, whereas student participants believe it to be the least important. However, both groups of participants agreed about the importance of teachers staying up to date with the latest development in the field, with teacher highlighting the importance of instructor being aware of both current teaching techniques and of current in ELT. Teacher participants also maintained that it was important for English instructor to encourage learners' contribution, while agreeing with student participants about the potential value of varying the tone of voice to attract student attention and of creating a humorous and exciting class atmosphere. Both student and teacher participants agreed that the importance of offering clear and appropriate feedback to learners, with teacher maintaining that it was necessary to give useful feedback on written work in appropriate ways and be able to comment on pupils' responses appropriately. Just like the student participant, teacher respond also claimed that ability to use various resources in the classroom to be relatively unimportant, with all of the following items being rated among the 6 least important qualities from this category: use a variety of resources effectively, select appropriate supplementary materials, use audiovisual aids, multimedia in teaching, and use the latest technology in teaching. The questionnaire category of knowledge about oneself professional development received an overall mean of 3.55. Like the student participant, teacher also highlighted the importance of being prepared to deal with change and innovation in the field, with the two highest mean ascribed by teacher to the items, care about developing professionally, and be ready to learn new methods and teaching strategies. These two items, moreover, are closely related to having a positive attitude towards change and innovation, which was the item student participant identified as being most important among this category, with teacher also stating that it was important to be able to reflect upon teaching effectiveness. However, while student participants consider that the actual practice of acquiring this new skill to be the least important of all professional development items, teacher participants believe it being actively involved in learning new skill to improve teaching and participating in teacher professional growth events such as seminars, workshops, conferences, etc. to be of much more importance. Well, finally, although teacher participants maintain that it was important to be able to cooperate with college to improve current teaching practice, they nonetheless believe that having the ability to help other college to develop professionally to be the least important of all characteristics associated with this category. Of the 9 items related to the questionnaire category, content knowledge about teaching and learning, teacher participants believe that the most important was the ability to communicate well in English, while having a high level of English proficiency was also considered to be quite important. Teacher participants assigned the second highest mean from this category to the ability to know how evaluate pupils, which, as stated above in items that it in tied to the items that receive the highest means, be able to plan a productive lesson and know how to set objectives. Moreover, teacher participants also agreed with students about the importance of being able to contribute curriculum development and about the relative lack of importance of being able to solve particular problems through conducting action research. Well, finally, both groups of participants felt that being familiar with the social and cultural background of the learners was important, while also agreeing that it was only somewhat important for English teachers in Oman to be aware of Western cultures. The only item that received a mean of less than 3 from the teacher participant. Okay, the next is comparison of student and teachers' results. Table 3 contains the student and teacher means for each questionnaire group. Even a cursory glance at the table reveals two general trends. The first, as has been mentioned above, is that all group means for both student and teacher participant recorded value about 3, thus indicating that they are all considered important characteristic of English teacher in Oman. The second general trend is that teacher participants have assigned higher means to every group than student participant, thus suggesting that teachers consider each area to be of greater importance than their student counterparts. To explore the nature of this trend in more detail, independent sample t-tests were employed to determine if statistically significant differences between teachers and students existed. For all tests, 11 tests for equality of variance reported significant results, which indicate that equal variance within the student and teacher sample could not be assumed. For this reason, results reported in Table 4 are not those that do not assume equal variances. This suggested that English teacher in Oman consider each of the 7 group featured in questionnaire to be more important than do students, even though students do still consider them to be important. This finding may be due to a number of reasons, including the greater familiarity teacher participants have with the demand of the teaching profession itself, compared with students who could be considered to be consumer of the education service their teacher and institute provide. It could be true that students may have expressed any general dissatisfaction they have with their English teacher and or classes by offering slightly more negative score on the questionnaire. A central tendency bias from student participant or even social desirability bias by teacher participant. Well, however, with this caution in mind, these findings suggest that teacher and student both agree that all questionnaire groups are important, even though teacher believe them to be significantly more important characteristic for English teacher to have. To explore the nature of teacher and student perception of characteristic of a good English teacher in more detail, the 10 highest and lowest rated equalities by both student and teacher groups are featured in below. In table 5 indicates that 6 of the 10 items that receive the highest means from student and teacher participant were the same. Perhaps not surprisingly, 3 of these items speak audibly and clearly, explain lesson clearly and confidently, and be able to communicate well in English, are related to high levels of communicative ability in the English language. Another 2 items that student and teacher participant believe to be the most important were related to the fair equal treatment of learners. These were treat student fairly and treat student equally. The final item, and both student and teacher participant assign one of the 10 highest means be enthusiastic about teaching. Perhaps not surprisingly, given these findings, student participants added to other items related to English proficiency and the equitable treatment of students to this list, with the following items also rated by students as being among the most important characteristics of English teacher: have a high level of English proficiency, care about all students, be tolerant of student in comprehension, and have good rapport with pupils. While students mostly focus on the nature of the classroom relationship and the teacher English abilities, teacher participant added several items associated with the actual practice of teaching itself. This included be prepared for class, be confident and have self-control, know how to evaluate pupils, and use a variety of teaching methods
of Western cultures and be familiar with the social cultural background of the learners, relate to the importance of being aware of the first language cultures and the cultures associated with the English language in the classroom. Moreover, another 2 items that respondents believe to be among the least important were related to the use of multimedia in the classroom. These were use audiovisual aids, multimedia in teaching, and use the latest technology in teaching. To this list, student participants select appropriate supplementary materials, though this item did not appear in the teacher's list of the 10 least important characteristics. Of the final 2 items that both students and teachers believed to be the least important for their English teacher, one was related to the importance of action research and the other was about teachers' physical appearance. These were be able to solve practical problems through conducting action research and have an acceptable appearance. Of the three remaining items that student participants believed to be the least important, two were concerned with the teacher professional development. That is, students thought it was relatively unimportant for their English teacher to participate in teacher professional growth events such as seminar, workshops, conferences, etc., and be actively involved in learning new skills to improve teaching. While this may be accounted for by student participant lack of awareness about the potential value of professional development opportunities for their instructors, somewhat surprisingly student related the teachers be able to involve pupils in various activities to be among the least important characteristics featured on the questionnaire. Three of remaining characteristics teacher participants believe to be among the least important related to the expression of instructor personality in classroom. These were have a good sense of humor, create a humorous and exciting class atmosphere, and be kind. Added to this, teacher participants also believed that it was relatively unimportant for instructors to have the ability to help other colleges to develop professionally. Discussion. The current research sought to explore student and teacher perception about the most important teacher characteristic within the Omani context. To achieve this, the first research question examined was, what are the characteristics of a good EFL teacher according to Omani high school student? The first point to note is response to this research question is that all 7 questionnaire categories were considered by the student participant to be important for their EFL instructor, while only 2 of the 68 questionnaire items received means below 3.00, which placed them in somewhat important rather than important response range. Of the 7 questionnaire categories, student participants believe that a teacher's knowledge about themselves in terms of general characteristics and affective variables were the most important. In terms of classroom instruction, student participants maintain that, in line with Board 2006 and Al-Mak 3 and Tabet 2013, most important for their EFL teacher to have a good command of English and to speak and write clearly, also being prepared for class. On an interpersonal level, student participants like those in Broche in 1996 said that their instructors should treat them equally and with a great deal of patience and care. Also be enthusiastic about their teaching. Item that received the lowest overall mean on the student questionnaire was related to the importance of teachers being aware of Western cultures. The value of incorporating explicit instruction in Western cultures into EFL classrooms is an area of considerable debate, with this issue being especially relevant to the Arab and or Muslim worlds in light of fear of the loss of traditional values and cultural beliefs as witnessed and scholarship of a number of authors. The fact that student participants here did not agree that it was important for their instructor to be well versed in Western cultures, therefore, perhaps implies that they did not believe a knowledge of this to be central of English language learning, and this suggests that they prefer a value-free English which can be tailored to meet their demands and express their how concern, like Malaysian Muslim students in studies of Mustafizar Rahman 2008 and Kim 2003. Second research question explored the characteristic of a good EFL teacher according categories were important, with 2 of the 3 most important again being knowledge related to general characteristics and affective variables. Teachers agree with students about the importance of being prepared for class, speaking in a clear manner, and of treating students fairly, although teacher participants in line with SOTO 2011 also highlight the importance of displaying confidence and self-control. It could be argued that a teacher's level of self-control mostly apparent to learners when it is absent, and for this reason, instructors may be far more aware of this characteristic than their students. This is a finding that may be related to the importance teacher participants place on classroom management skills, such as properly and effectively managing the classroom, a characteristic highlighted by Safin 2005. Teacher participants also believe that in addition to being able to communicate well in English, they should also know how to incorporate a variety of teaching methods into their classroom and to understand how to evaluate learners. Afin similarly stresses the importance of these points in the Emirati EFL context. The questionnaire category that received the lowest overall mean was somewhat surprisingly in light of the importance Witcher 2003 placed on the area, which about learning and teaching. From this category that received the lowest means were related to the ability of solve practical problems through action research and like the student participants being aware of Western cultures. The latter items has been discussed about, although it is interesting to note that only did teacher participants see relatively little value in knowing how to conduct action research to solve any classroom issue that they may encounter, despite its increasing value in teacher education programs across the Gulf. Gallagher 2015. They also did not think it to be especially important to help colleges in their professional development endeavors. Third research question explored the areas of similarities and difference in student and teacher perception of the characteristic of good EFL teachers. While tests revealed statistically significant difference between the two groups of participants in their perception of the importance of all 7 questionnaire categories. Differences were as noted above in strength of conviction rather than direction. But student and teacher participants believe all 7 questionnaire categories represented important characteristics of successful EFL teachers, although teachers assigned significantly higher means to each of these categories than their student counterparts. To better understand areas of overlap, the 10 highest and lowest rated questionnaire items for students and teachers were compared. These displayed a remarkable degree of similarity.